Right, let's start. So, welcome to Ongoing Changes. I am Beatriz, your guide, and today I'm excited to be having a conversation here with Jen Hamilton. She is a teacher, she's a coach, she teaches aspiring, soulful leaders how to master their own inner beings in order for them to become their best self, as well as a Tantra facilitator. So without further ado, please let me welcome Jen Hamilton. How amazing to meet you.
Thank you. It's so great to be here. I've come all the way from Brisbane to be here with you. So just a plane ride just to be here for today.
It's great. And Melbourne has welcomed you with rain.
The typical Melbourne, yes. I had a rainbow though earlier over the ocean. So that was lovely. That made up for the wind.
The gush that took you away. So tell me, how did you get into this particular area? Because let's face it, most people that think of Tantra think of sex.
They do.
And Kundalini.
Yes, and it's been such a journey for me, because I started my, personal development journey back in 2018. And that was off the back of a separation from my kid's dad, and this whole sort of like life falling completely down, dissolving around me in the Phoenix moment that a lot of us in this space have had. And I remember one day I was at work. I was managing a gym at the time, and I was listening to a podcast, and they were interviewing a hypnotherapist. And I thought to myself, that's it, hypnotherapy. I love the mind. I love understanding how we function, and I want to help people in this space. I'm going to study hypnotherapy. And so 10 days later, I was on a plane to Sydney. I'd found a course that was starting, my diploma of clinical hypnotherapy and strategic psychotherapy. So I was flying in and out of Sydney for months, doing all of my prac and making it all work. And during the time of my prac training, they also said, look, we recommend you study NLP as well, because the language is very similar. And there was actually an NLP course that was starting through the gym that I was working at. My boss at the time, who managed the gym, was also an NLP teacher.
Wow.
And so she said, come and do my program. It's a pilot program. I'd love you to be part of it. We'll go from there. And so I did that. Had an almighty breakdown through that, because you've got to do the work on yourself, not just there to help other people. You've got to learn how to help yourself. And then just through that, I stepped into life coaching and hypnotherapy. I then went on to study past life regression therapy, a number of different energy healing modalities, all of these beautiful ways in which we could work with the mind. And I was fascinated by it, and I loved it. And I was seeing a lot of, all my clients were in person. And then 2020 hit. The almighty awakening started to happen, and I had to pivot. So I took things online, and I really expanded online, and I was helping people all around the world. I was running online programs. I was having coaching clients in all different time zones, and I loved it. And I also felt as though I'm working with the mind so much.
Yeah.
I'm working with the mind. I'm working with energy. But what about the body? And it was just through my constant evolution of life that I decided I'm going to start a podcast. I want to start a podcast. I have an unfiltered platform for everything I wanted to say. And this was going back, three or so years ago. And I want to interview amazing, cool people. I have a story to share. I have so much wisdom that just channels through me that I want to share. And I want to give other people a platform to share their magic as well. So I put the call out. I've been podcasting for a couple of years, and I put the call out on a Facebook group saying I was looking for new guests. And I connected with a lot of people overseas.
Wow.
But I connected with one particular person over in Perth, and I was so excited when his application form came through, because I'm like, oh my God, an Australian. And it was amazing. And so we were supposed to be talking on our interview about the Akashic Records. And we completely sidetracked in our interview, and we started talking about masculine and feminine relationships. What do men want? What do women want? What does it look like to be expansive in relationships and, going through consciousness? And he said to me, my partner is actually a Tantra teacher. And so we got talking a bit about her, and we finished the interview, and I said, that was amazing. Thank you. Like, you are just so, we're so aligned. And he goes, I'd love for you to interview my partner. She's a Tantra teacher. You would get so much from her. So I interviewed her. I had her on the show within about a week and a half. And as soon as I connected with her energy, I thought, I need to learn with you. And so the first thing she said, I said, what even is Tantra?
Yeah.
And she said, well, the word Tantra means to weave. And she said, the first principle of Tantra is know thyself. And at that time, exactly at that time, I just started writing a coaching program called Know Thyself. And everything that she said to me in that interview, everything she shared about Tantra, I kept going, that's it. That's it. And there's so much esoteric philosophy around Tantra.
Yep.
And there's so much about doing the work on self, expanding in consciousness, all about love, all about the heart, so much about the body. And I thought, this is the path. And she said to me, I'm running a training in Sydney in, I think it was around March. And I said, fantastic, I'll aim to be there. And so I was co-authoring a book at the time as well. I was supposed to go and speak on stage at an event over in New Zealand, but I'd burnt out. It was the start of the year and I'd pushed and pushed and pushed. So I cancelled the New Zealand event. I messaged her and I said, look, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to be able to come to this training. She said, look, I'm not going to run anymore on the East Coast for probably a few years. If you want to come and work with me, you'll have to come to Perth. I'll let you know when I'm running level 1 and 2 again. So then a few months later, I was off to Perth and I was in the classroom and I just felt as though I was at home with these teachings. Everything, like I'd learnt so much about the mind and the body, but for me, Tantra, it bridged that gap. And then the esoteric philosophy and the teachings really spoke to me because I've always like danced in the spirituality space since I was in my late teen years, early 20s.
Wow.
And so when it all started coming together, I was like, oh yeah, this feels good. So it wasn't that I went, okay, I'm just Team Tantra. It's like, how do I bring all of these pieces together? How do I take what I have learned through hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, neuro-linguistic programming, life coaching, all of the energetic stuff, past life regression therapy, all of these things that I've dabbled in, poured my heart and soul into, and I've found so much, I guess, wisdom that's moved through all of these teachings to bring it all together. And it's like Tantra became the bow on the gift of all of it.
The umbrella.
Yes, yes. And so that's really how I got into it. And so there's a lot of misconception from a lot of people that, it's just orgies. It's all kinky stuff. It's the Kama Sutra. It's dirty. All of these different things.
I wouldn't have thought dirty, but definitely.
I think the dirtiness comes from the lack of boundaries that can happen in certain spaces and through some facilitators or teachers that have ulterior motives in this space that prey on vulnerable people that come into this space. So just like everything, there's a light and dark side. And esoterics teach this. And Tantra teaches masculine and feminine, yin and yang, dark and light. And so with everything we have, equal and opposite. And so as much as we have light in this space, there is darkness in this too. And so one of the things that I am so passionate about and becoming a teacher of is teaching people what it is and what it isn't. And that's what I'm passionate about. And so it's working with anyone that really wants to step into the space for themselves. I stepped into it when I was single at the time, not because I was looking to enhance any sort of relationship, but to work on my own inner masculine and feminine, work on myself, understand what it was all about. I didn't initially see myself teaching it at all. I was like, I just want to study, learn, absorb. And even my teacher, Kathy, she's been doing it for 30 years and she says, I'm still a student of it.
Wow.
You don't have a master something. If someone ever calls themselves a master or a guru of this, run fast.
But that's in any field, I would have thought. Because we're human. We're not perfect.
Exactly.
We will continue to evolve and see different angles to it. But how do you bring it together for someone to actually find their mastery and to come home to themselves, their higher self?
So we check in with who they know themselves to be. So this is the know thyself piece. Like, who are you? Like, when people get in touch with who they are, not their name, not what they do, not that they're identifying as a parent.
Yes.
Who are you beyond all of that? Tell me about your soul. Tell me about your heart. So it's going into the depths. It's going into, because I've got the mind stuff that I work with people, we can go through what the belief systems are. We can go through the subconscious programming, because everything that we've experienced in our whole entire lives, we've been gathering bits of information from everywhere, making meaning about the world. Yeah. So we've given meaning to absolutely everything, which isn't necessarily our own definition of things. It's all learnt behavior. Yeah. So we start to unravel those. We start to then come into the body. We use a lot of breath. We use a lot of energy. We work with the chakras. We do work with the sacred sexual centers as well. We work with the heart. We work with the genitals, but we work with the energy more than anything. So even though there is this beautiful component of sexuality that's involved in Tantra, that's not even where we start. We understand masculine and feminine within inside ourselves. When we're working in the space of a couple, we work with divine sacred union in whatever, and it doesn't have to be male and a female space either.
Oh no, absolutely.
We have all of the energy inside of us, and so we look at what that looks like in partnership, whether it's monogamous or not as well. Like there's all different ways of bringing it through.
Interesting. So when people are actually doing the course, do you get this release of energy from people while they're doing the breath work?
Can do. So I was facilitating a session for a beautiful woman recently, and I was taking her through a very basic breath to start with. And then, so we work with Qi and Qing energy. So Qing energy being sexual energy, and the way in which we can squeeze muscles, move energy around. And she had gone through Kundalini awakening.
Wow.
And it brought this back on for her. And so she was having almost like orgasmic convulsions, moving this energy through her. And it was phenomenal to see her move. And she said to me, she goes, "This might happen." And I said, let it. This is a non-judgmental space. You are so welcome to bring all parts of you forward here. Whatever you need, bring that through. And so she fully just relaxed into that. And it wasn't that she was having like a clitoral orgasm or anything. Her body was moving energy. She was like that. To some people, that's their version of Kundalini awakening. And so we work so much with energy, and then that has an effect on all different elements of not just our body, but our life as well. Yeah. We can see things differently. We can comprehend things differently. We can view the world differently when we're in those heightened states.
But not only that, do you think that when someone goes through that kind of an experience, that some of their walls come down?
Absolutely, they do. Yeah, because we allow space for people to open through vulnerability. Especially when there's, in the environment when someone comes in and you're with a practitioner or a teacher of Tantra, because we are going into those spaces, because we're even talking about certain things that generally you wouldn't speak to perhaps another facilitator about. It is about letting down those walls. And then we teach how can you do that in your relationships as well. How can you express openness and vulnerability with your partner? There's so many times I've heard from people, but I can't tell my partner this, or I can't show my partner this side of me. And we go, okay, well, what's the belief system that's around that? What's put this forward for you? What's the condition that you've put on yourself around this? So it's so beneficial for connection to self and then connection to others as well.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I've had some clients and I said, why don't we do this? No, can't do that. Because it would leave marks on my back, because when you do cups and it moves, it can leave marks.
Oh, big
they're
ones,
not bruises, but because you get rid of stagnation. And they said, no, their anxiety could not cope with that. Wow. So whatever it is that you need to do that's beneficial for me can't leave any marks. And you think, okay. It's really interesting. So they forego their healing journey because of what could happen with someone else and the way they would perceive it.
Yeah.
like, are we trying to heal here, or are we trying to do half a job to kind of start getting better, but provided it fits within this certain paradigm, otherwise can't do it.
No, and it's really breaking down the belief that's keeping them stuck there. What is it that I always say to people, what do I have to believe about myself in order to have this experience? And so when we understand what that belief is, or what the fear is, where did that come from? And then through my coaching, I developed something called the belief reconstruction. And so it's understanding how to completely reconstruct a belief system, because we're a product of our beliefs and our thoughts.
Oh, absolutely.
We're a product of our conditioning. Yeah.
Our parental programming.
Yeah.
You will fit in this world like this.
Like this, like I say. Yes.
Like it's A, B, C, D. And if you don't fit in, look out.
That's exactly right.
Because our parents were very much, no, it's not how it is.
This is how it's done. Yeah.
Exactly. So how long does it normally take someone from beginning to end?
Is there such a thing as time?
Oh, absolutely not.
That's not something that I can answer, because it's not a generalized, it's not a start to finish thing. It's an evolution. And so one person who might have an expansive experience might take someone else months, years. It just all depends on the person and where they're willing to go, what they're wanting to break through. And so I always bring the question back, what do you want from this one wild and precious life? What do you want?
Yeah.
And people that kind of get stuck with that, I say, okay, let's fast forward. You're on your deathbed at 111 years old and you're looking back over your life. From this point where you are now, what happened? What did you stay stuck? Did you stay reserved? Did you stay playing small? Did you stay in your shell? Or did you get out and did you live differently? Did you chase your dreams? Were you connected to yourself? Did you understand what your intuition was? And so when we come from that fast forwarding place and then reflecting, they realize they've got a choice point to move forward. But again, some people are just gripped so tightly. And so I always say to people, if you make a fist as tight as you possibly can, like dig those nails right in, make it uncomfortable. If you can imagine that that's what's going on in your heart space, and then you don't realize how tight and constricted it is because it's always been like that, and all it's done is just dig your nails in harder and harder, and you're like, well, that's a bit tight in my chest there. But what happens is when we invite in these opportunities for healing through whatever modality that is, that's the permission slip to start unraveling the fingers, and we go, hang on a second, if I just let go of the grip just a little bit more there, a little bit more there, a little bit more there, hey, oh my god, look, I've got some freedom, I can wiggle my fingers, and then you're wide open.
Nice analogy.
Thank you. So it's going from that closed state to that open state, and everyone gets a choice in which way they want to open and how fast they want to open. And how much they're willing to expand their fingers wide open and realize that their fingers have all of the movement that they could ever want. And that's a reflection of our hearts.
That's very true. But do you find that some people, when they actually get to that opening stage, that the fingers could be family members or friends that they actually lose along the way because there is this misalignment now?
Yes.
They're no longer playing the game, so therefore their friends don't get them, their family don't get them. Like there is a lot of things I don't have discussions with my kids because it's, oh, mum's joined another cult.
Yep, yes. So I love analogies. So I'll use another analogy that's one of my favourites that I came up with. So as you know, I'm based in Brisbane.
Yes.
You're based in Melbourne. Victoria.
We're fresh, you're warm. Or are you hot?
We both have a radio station on the FM called Nova.
Yes.
And in Brisbane, I can tune into 106.9 FM, and I get to channel into Nova Brisbane. I don't know what the numbers are for Melbourne down here, but if I tried to tune into those numbers, I would get static from Brisbane because it's on a different frequency. So what happens is when we're growing and expanding, our frequency or our energetic field is changing.
Yes.
And so all it is that we just can't tune into the dial where we pick up a clear channel for the station.
Nice.
So it's not better or worse. You don't have a better Nova radio station here to what we do to Brisbane. It's just a different frequency. And so when we're going through growth, when we're evolving, when we're changing, our frequency shifts as well. And so sometimes when we try to communicate with people that was once on our frequency, we get static. And it doesn't make sense.
Nice.
And you're like, I need to turn this off because it's buzzing and it's hurting my ears.
Yes, and head.
And that's what happens. And so sometimes I say to people, you've got to be prepared that people are potentially going to drop off. Jobs, careers might change.
Yep.
Friendships can end. If you're willing to work with yourself, love yourself through this, because all you have at the end of the day is yourself. Everywhere you go, there you are.
Yeah.
So if you're dedicated to yourself, if you are committed to yourself, and all you have is yourself just for a little while, that's okay. Because I also teach people to build a sanctuary inside their own minds, inside their own bodies, so that whenever they go inwards, there's love, there's respect, there's kindness, there's warmth towards self.
Yeah.
And so when people realize that they don't need the external things, that's lovely, that's great. Connection, we absolutely thrive with connection, but it's connection that's like to self that comes first and foremost.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're born by ourselves, because really, and then we die by ourselves.
Yes.
And we have this obsession through all our lives to gather things and gather people so that we can feel complete and, you know, play the game that, oh, look what I got, look what I just bought.
Yes.
And people have got so many closets full of clothes, and you think you can only wear X amount of clothes at any one time on yourself.
Yes.
The rest of it just stays there.
Yes.
and it's like, is that enough? But the thing is that I think a lot of this kind of got brought home during COVID when people were isolated and they had to sit with themselves because they had nobody else to sit with.
It's true. And this is why we saw a rise in alcoholism, drug dependence.
It was incredible.
Depression. I remember, and I know that Melbourne got hit very hard with the lockdowns and how traumatizing it was for a lot of people, and how hard it was even to get into a psychologist for months and months and months. And so it really affected people in a deep way. And it really just held mirrors up for where you're at.
Oh, yeah.
With everything in life. You know, what was your relationship to your job? What was your relationship to certainty and comfort? You know, to your own schedule, you know, that then got, you know, your routine got ripped out from underneath you. What did that look like?
Yeah.
So it's checking in with the relationships that you have to the everyday life that you live. And what if something was to, you know, wildly change very quickly?
But a lot of people, even today, like a lot of my ex-colleagues, because I left that industry a while ago, they are who they are because of what they do and the position that they hold. And they continue to try to climb the ladder with no consciousness to what it's doing to people. It's like, well, you're not really human. You're not getting as much money as I get, and you don't have as much control or contacts that I have. And you think, that's nice. And one of my particular bosses that I was thinking about, his wife has been ill for ages. And like, to me, 99% of illnesses come from the head.
It's true. Yeah.
You know, the head triggers off the hormones. The head triggers off, you know, flight, fight is hormonally triggered. And everything comes from the thought that we hold, that it comes into the body. And then the body remembers, and it's like, it gets stuck in there.
It does, yeah.
And by what you're doing, you're actually moving the energy so that there isn't this stuckness. It's like a rope.
Yes.
I'm still teaching yoga, so the people that I teach, I say, your flexibility, it reflects your internals. If you're flexible on the outside, your mind is flexible, your arteries are flexible, but it gives you that ability to see beyond the stiffness that we get taught. And it's this lovely flow, like Tai Chi. I mean, they're incredible. But everything is about flow and the energy. And so the way that we interact with people, especially the ones that we love, is a reflection of how we treat them and how they feel and how safe they feel in their world. And that reflects their mental and their physical health.
Yeah, it's all interconnected.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so angry at my first husband. I was burning up inside. He was going away with the boys for a weekend. I was 30 weeks pregnant. I had 2 other little kids. And he was like he's off to have a good time and there's 1,001 things to do and blah, 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 blah. So you know how you internalise it?
Always, yeah.
Always. Well, I externalised it by burning myself. And so for the following 4 weeks, he couldn't go anywhere because I couldn't walk.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I sat on my touche for a whole month and, everything happened around me. But at that time, I knew I was angry. I kind of put the two together. Yeah, I did put the two together. But it was like he was clueless. He didn't understand what was happening in order to have that aha moment that says, we should talk.
Yes. I feel as though there's not enough, I guess, like catalysts in people's lives for them to really go deep. Because I usually find that the catalyst is something traumatic. It could be a diagnosis of some sort, an illness. Yep. It could be a breakdown of a relationship. It could be the loss of something like a job or something that you love so much. I always find, whether it's Tantra or whether it's with coaching of any sort, someone has to get so sick of their own crap before they change. I wish I had $1 for every time someone had said to me, do I really need coaching when there's nothing wrong right now? And it's like, would you not want to gather the tools to support yourself and know how to move through things and support yourself when you are going through something? Because I've had people come to me in really traumatic times and they're frazzled, and you've got to bring them down from this place that they've escalated themselves to. If you had that already, then like if you had the techniques, then you wouldn't need to get so far away from yourself.
Yeah.
Because all it is we're just moving further away from ourselves. And whether it's yoga, whether it's Tantra, whether it's breath, whatever the thing is, it's always about coming back to self. It's always about coming inwards. It's going, what am I thinking constantly? How is my body going?
Yeah.
How am I potentially processing or not processing certain emotions? Am I hanging out in fight or flight? Am I sleeping properly? Am I nourishing or punishing through the food that I'm eating? So
no minties?
Minties are fine. No judgment around the minties.
Okay.
So some people don't even know how to check in with themselves.
Yeah.
This is the know thyself piece. So I'm not going to sit there and work with someone that's got no clue about who they are and teach them certain advanced techniques or teach them how to work on their relationship to move forward in a really conscious dynamic without them knowing who they are on an individual basis. Yeah. Because I can teach techniques, I can teach ways in which two people can coexist in a very beautiful, loving, very sexual manner if they want to. But what's going on underneath that? Like, it's cause and effect.
Absolutely.
How did you get to where you are? What was the root cause of it? Let's dig down deeper. Let's go to the root. Let's excavate what we need to find what the thing is, because we can't keep band-aiding anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, fibromyalgia these days seems to be quite rampant. Like there's loads and loads of cases. Now, all the clinical trials that I've read, it goes back to a traumatic experience that they had at some stage in their life, right? So fibromyalgia can actually come through any time. Could take 20, 30, 40, 50 years to manifest itself. And most people are their fibro. Oh, I can't do this because I've got fibromyalgia.
Yep, same as anxiety.
Everything becomes like, they become their disease.
A product of,
And they can't move forward.
Exactly.
And you think, but don't you people understand that you're creating a lot of this stuckness? And do we want to get to that stage before we realise who we are, what we are, and how we think? Like, shouldn't this kind of stuff be taught at school?
This is why I'm so passionate about it. And as a mother, I mean, what a blessing to teach the 2 children that I do have about themselves, about their bodies, about their minds. A simple thing like gratitude. We do gratitude so often.
Aww.
We do this thing at the dinner table. We do what's called a happy sandwich. So we say something that's made us happy today, something that's made us sad or angry, but then something else that's happy. So we sandwich it all together. And then we say what we're grateful for. And then we go around the table and we do acknowledgements. So we acknowledge each person at the table for something that we've noticed in them. And then we say our intention for the next day. And anything that we want to work on as well. Anything that we're wanting to be mindful of, or room for improvement, we call it.
That's incredible. Your kids must be so wise.
They really are. My son, who is turning 9 shortly, the things that come through his heart and out of his mouth is almost otherworldly, just out of the blue. And I'll constantly ask, both of the children questions. And he asked me the other day, we dropped my daughter off at dancing. And he goes, Mum, what's your favourite thing about this life?
Oh.
And I said, darling, that's such a beautiful question. And I said, honestly, it's, being your mum, guarding you through this lifetime and teaching you everything that I know and sharing it with you. And he was just chuffed.
Oh, that is so sweet.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It promotes deeper thinking. Every time we get in the car, it's an instant, what are you grateful for today? Getting them curious about, and reflecting on their day that they've had.
That's
or in the
very
morning.
important.
What is it that you're grateful for? And sometimes there will be, I don't know. And it'll be like, okay, what about the fresh running water that we have, the warm car that we're in, the school that you get to go to. And most of the time they bring it back to family. I love my family. I love our home that we have. It's the things, and all it is, it's about safety. It's where they feel the most safe. And so even though I have all of the tools in my tool belt that I have and I get to teach them, I didn't experience it to this degree when I was growing up. My parents did what they had with what they knew, which was amazing, which was their very best that they could. And so we get a lot of people of our generation that, sure, we're a little messed up.
Not messed up, just the pieces are everywhere.
The pieces are a mosaic. They've been shattered to the floor a few times, and we pick up the pieces that we want to take with us and make art from it and call it a mosaic.
Nice.
But we get to teach the younger generation through what we have now. And so it might not be in schools, but it gets to be in the household. Yeah. And it wasn't there when I was growing up, but it gets to be there now. And I guess that's the gift of us evolving the way we are and teaching through it. Because I remember, like, my children have come home before and they know that they're, I guess, a bit different in that way. They tell their friends these things. They'll say, what are you grateful for? And we've had parent-teacher interviews with both of the kids' teachers, and they're like, they're really switched on. I remember I picked up my daughter from kindergarten. So she would have been 4. It was on the first day. They'd gone to a new, beautiful daycare centre that we'd found. And one of the educators pulled me aside and she said, I just have to let you know what your daughter did today. she was listening to some music and she gathered some people around and said, now close your eyes and just really feel the music.
Oh.
So she was teaching others how to feel then. And I teach them kindness. I teach them compassion. I teach them, less judgment, more love, And so if I get to teach that, I only hope that has a ripple effect, in the other people that they interact with. And I teach them, sometimes other kids aren't the same as you. They might be a bit mean. And it just means that there's more room for love for themselves inside of themselves. Maybe their relationship with their self isn't as good as you have it. And they don't know where to put that energy. And that's how I explain bullying to them.
Yeah, it was just about to ask you, how do the other kids perceive them? Because they'd be quite different to the other kids.
They are.
Because a lot of people wouldn't be at that same level. I remember having a heated discussion with my teenage son. And he said, why did you bring me up like that? Nobody understands me. And several years later it was, thanks, Mum. That was really good.
Yes.
So how are your kids going in that environment? Because it's very different out there.
It is. So they still coexist in that, and they still have their moments. Like my daughter, so both of my kids, so their dad's Serbian and I'm half Italian. So they're fiery and they're hungry. They've got a lot of passion. We'll put it that way, right?
Absolutely.
So they still get into heated discussions.
Fire in their belly.
Exactly. My daughter is a Libran. And so she is all about balance. And she came home to me, I think it was at the end of last year, and she goes, Mum, I got to tell you something. You can't tell Dad because I'll get in trouble. And I was like, all right, we'll talk about that later. But she goes, there was some big kids picking on a preppy. So I marched over there and I said to the older kids, older than her, you leave him alone or I will grab you by the balls, march you to the toilets and flush your head down the dunny in front of everyone. And then she walked straight to the principal's office, dobbed on these kids.
Nice.
And then this little preppy was so grateful. Oh. He bought her in a gift the next day to say thank you. And the older kids were taken care of. Now the kid knows justice. She's a Libran. So she can't do it in a fiery way.
Librans are wonderful.
Yes. And she has had that in friendship circles before.
Wow.
But she has the ability, she understands her emotions. So she will say, I'm feeling very angry by these actions right now. And I need to move my anger. Or I'm just feeling frustrated and I've taken it out on my brother and I'm really sorry. So I don't stop them from being angry. I don't stop them. I don't stop them from being their fullest expression of their little human selves. They're all parts of them are welcome. They want to cry about it. They want to cry. Cool. Shift some energy that way. You need to go and scream into a pillow. Great. Let's do that. Do you want to go rip up some paper? Let's do that. Let's shift that energy. But they have awareness of what their feelings are. And they have permission to be in the fullest expression of what that is.
But not only that, she's got the self-confidence,
self-worth
to know that it's okay for me to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, you've instilled some amazing things into them.
Yes, I feel like I have because I hear how she's interacting with others. I hear how confident she is as well. The teachers and they came, so I initially had them in Montessori for a few years and then they're in traditional schooling now, which we thought would be a bit of a jump. However, they are thriving in traditional education. Okay. But I do feel as though the Montessori starting point that they had really supported their feelings and sharing. It's a very different environment because when they speak to the teacher, they use their first name. There's no hierarchy, Miss or Mr., put your hand up, asked to go to the bathroom, none of that like there is in traditional schooling. And so the children came from a very open environment where teachers were safe. They weren't an authority to fear like in some schools now.
That's true.
Which, same as the principal, they would say, g'day, Chris. When the principal was walking past, now they know that they have to refer to their current principal as Mr. But they know that they can just go to anyone and talk to anyone, because that was what was open at Montessori. It's like you work with any teacher and you can talk to anyone, and it was a beautiful environment to start them off in like that. It is. And so they feel really confident to talk to people. And they also feel confident to say no. Like they know the power of their no. You know, they know about boundaries. They know how to communicate those things. Yeah. And it's those things that aren't taught in schools. In fact, it's sometimes the opposite. So we have a duty of care as parents to really support them in the home environment so that they can go into that school environment feeling empowered.
But it's also very good when you've got the school system that actually supports their parents rather than going against them.
Yes.
I mean, my granddaughter's also going to Montessori. I tried to get my son into Steiner, but he wouldn't have a bar of it.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's also very much up to the individual. But the problem is, I remember when I did my DPED, and like I already had one child and all these other, you know, they'd just come out of uni. They were very fresh.
Very fresh, yeah.
And so they said, oh no, we've got them for so many years, we'll mould them. Their parents have got nothing to do with their upbringing or the way that they're going to be thinking about things and all the rest of it. And I'm going, I'm not even going to bother. Because by the time the kids go to school, you know, they're 4 or 5. And so a lot of their traits and who they are and the programming we've given them is already part of them.
Yes.
Unless, of course, they go to somewhere like into care or... And then that's very different again. And there's just so many facets of it. Like, I didn't start here. I mean, my first marriage, I walked out in my early 30s. And that's when my journey started. And then I did yoga and a few other bits and pieces, and that was another step. And so my kids were, how old would my kids have been? The youngest would have been 8 or 6 when I started to change my philosophy. But already by then, a lot of the programming had already been set.
Yes, yeah.
And for the older one, like she would have been 15 at the time.
Yeah, they're quite set in your ways by then.
You're very set in your ways, and like they grew up with their father rather than me because of the way things were, and he had a very different outlook on life. And so when some people see my kids together, they think they're from a different father because they're quite different. They're quite similar, but quite different.
Yeah.
And it comes down to the fact that during a lot of the pivotal years, there was different things happening and different changes and different energy. Because, I mean, when I went through a whole lot of things, that yelling at my wardrobe when I was quite young, it was like, okay, nobody gave me a funny coat, but there was no one to talk to.
Yeah.
I mean, my mother used to do tarot cards or out of normal cards, but that wasn't spoken about. It was almost like a taboo. And so therefore some of these, well, that's not really real.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about those because that's not going to get you out there and earn you money. So, you know, you can do that on weekends or after you finish doing everything, that's the cleaning, the cooking and everything else and the study. Because when you're exhausted, then you can do that. And you think, I've got so much energy now. But I don't know where your kids are at school, but my grandkids are about the same age as your kids.
Yeah.
There's a lot of autistic kids these days, or kids that are got gifts and therefore it becomes too difficult for them to remain in mainstream. Let's medicate you.
Yep. Let's try and change you, not the environment. When it needs to be the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there is this oppression of what's happening. And to me, it still seems to be money driven because when kids that have got special needs are in particular schools, the government gives the school more money.
Yeah.
But it's not money driven, it's not political.
No,
No.
not at all. What are you talking about? I can't believe you didn't bring that up. What are you insinuating?
So if we're changing and evolving, because I think the energy is changing in the world, and
absolutely,
and you know, there is more and more people that are becoming awakened in terms of they're realizing that they don't want to get sick. They want to know what is happening so that they can become aware of who they are, so they can become a better version of themselves. And so they reach out to try different things.
Yeah.
And I remember when I used to teach at the gyms, I used to say to the guys, well, come and just do it for the eye candy.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of things, by having certain labels, they might be drawn to it for the wrong reason, but for the right reason.
Always. Yeah. Dangle the carrot.
I'm a great believer on the carrot, because they always get more than what they bargained for.
Yeah. And I think that's what draws a lot of people to Tantra as well.
Yeah.
Ooh, sex. Great. I'll go to that.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. I have to work on myself. What is this sorcery?
Can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
So when people actually approach you and start, how do they approach the conversation? Because it must be awkward for some to say, so what's with the Tantra?
So usually people have an intention, or they'll see something that I've perhaps posted on social media, spoken about on a podcast, and they'll be like, yeah, that's the thing. That's what I want to work on. Or I share a lot about my relationship with my partner.
Nice.
And we met through our Tantra school in a very beautiful and a very odd and wild way. We met through a psychic sketch drawing that was done. And I just happened to be showing someone I was doing my course with, and then my teacher walked past and said, I recognize that guy. He's one of my students, and put us in touch. And now we are in a relationship, and he lives in Perth and I live in Brisbane.
For anybody who doesn't know, that's at least 5 hours.
5-hour flight, 4,500 kilometers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It is. It's from one end of Australia to the other.
Literally, yeah, west coast to east coast. Yeah. And so we have grown together in the tantric space. We were already in it individually and come together in it and do a lot of things together in that space. But because we understand the principles, the practices, some of the rituals, the breath, we have a common vision about what it looks like to expand in our consciousness. We bring that into our relationship, because we are both so connected in so many ways through our individual paths that have brought us together. And so a lot of people see our relationship and what we share about our relationship as very inspiring, which I understand, because if I saw my relationship in somebody else that I was looking across to, I'd be like, wow, that's very inspiring what they do. And so I love that I get to share parts of that relationship and teach people through that as well, because sometimes people have been in a relationship for 20 years, the spark's all but gone. They're looking to revamp something, but one person's on the journey of growth and the other one just thinks you've gone completely nuts.
Yeah.
That happens, Some people, one person is just too scared of doing the work. The other might be getting their head in the bucket for an ayahuasca ceremony, having this massive expansion and going, come with me on the journey. And they're like, absolutely not. And there's incongruences now with where they want to be in life and all of that. And these things happen. And so Tantra is an invitation for couples to come in and work on themselves if they're both wanting to and willing to, as gently as they want to. Tantra's not a Band-Aid. Tantra's not a fix-it. Tantra can support relationships that are on their way out, perhaps, but also it's for couples that want to expand together, that want to take things to a heightened state, that they want to learn new things together. And I love facilitating sessions with couples because there's beautiful practices that I as a facilitator can take them through. And I'm talking like we do visualization and meditation together. I take them through, we call it Temple on the Mountain and Village in the Mud. So understanding lower self and higher self. individually and then together, creating sacred space together, seeing each other and being seen through eye gazing. There's different techniques which are going to bring people closer together, which they may have been married for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years, and they've never done these types of things. And so there's something for everyone. And from an individual perspective, it's getting in touch with self. You can work with sexual energy on your own. You don't have to be in a partnership to work with sexual energy. Sexual energy is very creative, especially for women. When we work with our sexual centers, when we're moving energy around, when we can bring the energy from our perineum up to our third eye and out of our crown, manifestation 101. So there's a lot of ways in which you can learn so much that can amplify things in your life. You can work with healing. Like if there's things going on in your body and you want to work with healing, working with the breath, working with awareness, even just the ability to work with your breath, to lower your cortisol and the adrenaline pumping through your system. And if you're in a relationship, connecting with your partner on a deeper level, promoting oxytocin. It's beautiful.
It is.
These are the healing things. The love that you have for yourself that expands out to other people, the meditations that you can do, the connections that you get to have, that's the life-changing stuff right there. And I've said nothing about sexual penetration in that.
Yeah, well, it's all about energy, let's face it.
Yeah.
So when you were doing NLP and hypnotherapy, how do you think doing tantric has changed things? Has it opened you up more? Has it facilitated? Has it helped, your clients, your people, your tribe to actually reach a different understanding and mastery of themselves rather than before when you were doing the NLP and the hypnotherapy? Yeah,
so I used to be able to work with people really purely with their mind. And really what's going on. And I always teach people, like, your mind isn't just in your head. Your mind is actually every single cell in your body. The body remembers things. And there are ways in which, we can process things somatically. We have physiological responses in the body to certain, stresses and different things. And it's working through those. When we bring Tantra into that, Tantra can help to clear the mind as well. Tantra is a different version of meditation as well. Different ways in which we can visualize things, take our mind and our breath and our body along for the ride. And so when some people come in and they want to work on themselves through Tantra, I can support them with the beliefs and that inner dialogue. I can help them access the parts of themselves that I learnt through hypnotherapy, through psychotherapy, through NLP. We can understand what that language is on the inside. We can understand what's going through the mind, what that inner dialogue is, because that's going to reflect in how you are in more of that tantric space. It's going to help you understand if someone's in a relationship and they want to go down the tantric path, but they've had a traumatic experience perhaps in the past, or they've got stuff, or they're feeling blocked. The NLP, the subconscious, the hypnotherapy, the coaching side of things comes in and goes, let's work on that whilst working in with sensuality, sexuality, spirituality that Tantra offers. So it all comes in together. And I love working with aspiring soulful leaders, as we mentioned, because generally the people coming to me, I guess the magnetism that I hold is taking people on the journey that I've been on. And that is going through leadership. That is going from, hey, I'm taking others on a journey. I recognize my own gifts. I've worked with my own gifts for a long time. I know how I felt at the start going, can I do this? What do I do now? You mean I can really help other people heal? Oh my gosh. But hang on, what about me? Like all of the belief systems that we hold as leaders to go, am I good enough? The industry's saturated. They're better than me. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to run a business. All of these like aspects come up for everyone stepping into that space of leadership. So the people that I've been working with for a long time, the majority of them are going, I'm at a point in my life where I want to help other people. And I feel like I've got this thing inside of me, or I've learnt this thing, and I don't know how to get it out there now. I don't know I feel really blocked. Are people really going to pay me for this? Is what I have enough? Am I just needing to collect more certificates along the way? And I'm like, grab my hand, let's go.
Nice.
And we can bring in so many, like if people want to become Tantra teachers as well that have been on a very similar path to me, great. That's amazing. I can guardian you through that journey. I can help you light your own path because I've lit my own path, and I'll teach you how I do that.
That's amazing, because a lot of people are like, okay, this is my bit. It's like when we were at school, we used to go like this, that nobody would be watching.
Don't look at my answers.
Exactly. Don't
copy me. Stop copying me.
And so a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of males have a tendency to not to give a lot of themselves, for the simple reason, if I show you how, that means you will take over what I'm doing, and I'm going to miss out, instead of having the ability to see, by you stepping into this space, you are helping so many more people, and therefore we can share the load and get more people on board rather than just a few.
Yeah, and I see a lot of women with the witch wound or the sister wound. They don't trust other women. And so collaboration with other women feels dangerous. It feels like competition. And so they don't trust themselves. They compare themselves. And so it's going, where did that come from? And I've also, done a lot of training in past life regression therapy. And so if we need to go through past lives, parallel lives, if we understand the quantum field, then we go and figure out where that's from. If it's not in this lifetime, let's dig deeper, And so I feel as though like all of the things that I've learnt over the years, and I guess my repertoire, my tool belt full of different tools, is there to support people to just open themselves up. I always say people's message is in the mess, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And so what's your mess been that now becomes your message? Because when we come out the other side of the mess, my gosh, that's where we find our voice. That's where we go, hey, sister, been there, done that, got the fridge magnet, come with me. I'll show you.
Let's go play.
Exactly. And that's what I love to teach people to do. Yeah. But I can't just teach people from a textbook. I don't pick up a textbook. I never have. I've developed so many of my own, almost like smaller modalities, mini modalities, to teach people to go, when this happens, figure this out within yourself. This is how you do this. Catch this thought, alchemize it, integrate it into your life. What can you do here? What can you do there? And Tantra brings that into the body now, because we're also finding that a lot of people are disconnected from their sexuality and their sensuality, especially women. We have this patriarchal wound, which we also get to go, I'm going to put that down now. I'm not carrying around what my ancestors carried. I'm done. I'm done with this version. And when we do that, we realize, well, hang on, what do I want to do with this now? If I wasn't to feel less than because I'm a female, what does empowerment mean to me? What can I do with my gifts? This intuition thing of mine, where can that take me? So it's about tapping into those different things. Tantra is another avenue for that. So there's the mind, there's the body, and there's the spirit. It's the triad. It's this beautiful triangle that all gets to work together. And it's one of the reasons you can't see it at the moment. I have triangles tattooed on my chest, on my sternum, because one of them, I have two triangles tattooed, and it's mind, body, spirit. And the other one is also my reminder of maiden, mother, crone as well. So my life's journey as the feminine. And so I have tattoos on me that are my anchors to remind me of certain things. I have one, actually, you can't see it now because I've got layers on, but I have a flower of life on my arm.
Like a lotus?
No, the flower of life. Hang on, can I?
Oh, yeah.
If I can get it out. It's all the interwoven petals.
Oh, yeah.
The flower of life. And I got that actually in Melbourne when I was down for a trip last year. And I've been wanting to get something for quite some time. And I never impulsively get tattoos. I usually sit with them. I've only got the two. But when I was doing my past life regression therapy training, I remember I worked one-on-one with a teacher to take me through the course. And she was taking me through a past life regression. And she said, close your eyes, go through the process, the full induction. And she goes, imagine a timeline. And there was no line that came up for me. The image that I got was basically a 3D sphere of the flower of life.
Wow.
And everything was interwoven because time's not linear. We create time with our brain in this dimension that we're on as like start to finish. But beyond this like plane of existence, time doesn't exist the way in which we're led to believe it does.
Absolutely.
So I didn't see my line as a linear line. I saw it as all of these interwoven petals of this grand flower of life.
Oh.
And so all of the lifetimes worked in together to make sense. And to me, that's the webbing and the fabric of life. To me, that's a representation of the quantum field. And I see that is also the interaction with all people that come into our lives. I call them our soul pod, which is everyone that's walking this earth. Our connection with nature, our connection with all things. And so that was my anchor. And I used to sit with people for past life regression and explain this to them. And instead of carrying around I had a crystal with the flower of life like etched into it.
Oh,
now I just show them it's on my arm always. So I just whip out my tattoo and showing them that the interconnectedness. And so the way in which I teach people is quite esoteric for a lot of people, quite, I guess, spiritual. And spirituality is only ever the connection to self and connection to whatever you want it to be. You decide, like player's choice, right? No one can define for you what spirituality is. That's something that you've got to gather within yourself. And so when I take people on this journey, this is why people don't come to me for just a single session. We can't go through all of that in there. No. It is a journey.
Absolutely.
And I can show people, I can teach people these things and then be like, go and find yourself. Come back to me if you need me. Come back to me if you want to go deeper with this.
Yeah.
But I'll get you started. I'm not your guru. I'm not if someone keeps coming back to me, I'm not doing my job properly.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I agree.
I'm here to empower people and teach them the elements of which that have been passed on through all of the teachers that I've had, all of the wisdom that I have channeled through. I get to teach that. And then if people want to go and teach that in whatever way they want to, I celebrate that. And that's the type of people that come to work with me and how we bridge body, mind, spirit, the mind, the subconscious, the hypnotherapy, the psychotherapy, the NLP, the body with the Tantra, the spirit with the energy work.
Yeah, that's amazing because you like to empower people.
Yes.
Whereas a lot of people like to keep other people stuck and keep coming back.
Yes.
Like I did a retreat last year and that was my first one. And I saw people there and I spoke to them. That was like their 18th, their 15th. They just keep going back because they love how it feels. Because they haven't had the tools, I guess, to find that for themselves. And it becomes like a cash cow, I guess.
Well, I have said for quite some time is that where we're at in, I guess, the collective consciousness, there's a lot of people doing the healing. However, it's become a subscription model.
Yeah.
And tell me how that's any different to the pharmaceutical industry.
Well, absolutely not, because I was just about to say, and the fact that they go to it to get their buzz.
Yeah, they go for their fix, they go for their hit.
Exactly.
There's
right.
contraindications.
Please be mindful if you're pregnant and breastfeeding.
Yeah, it's so funny. Earlier in the year, I had 2 clients that have worked with me on and off for years.
Yeah.
And literally it was in the space of a week, and both had messaged me and said, hey, I think I'm ready to book some more sessions. I said, great. Let me know what that looks like for you when you're ready. Both of them came back and said, actually, I've got the tools inside of me. I'm going to go inwards and work with what I know is in there, and I'm not going to rely on you. And I celebrated
that's amazing.
so hard for them, because that's what I want to see. I don't want people back with me for the same thing, because I'm not doing my job properly.
I agree. Yeah.
If someone's coming back to me, I will remind them of what we've been through. I'll ask them, have you implemented this? Have you done this? Where are you at with this? Are we not shifting through that core? What do we need to tweak in here? What are you not changing because you're now choosing this? Why are you sitting with the comfort that is actually the discomfort of something that's so familiar to you? I had one particular client, and she came to me, I think it was probably about a year or so ago. And she wanted to work on herself. She wanted to work on her confidence. That was sort of the what she saw for herself. But underneath there was so much fear. It was like she didn't trust herself. It's like she was too scared to throw her hat in the ring for things. She was too scared to apply for the job. She was actually trying to apply for the police force. Wow. There was just so much holding her back. So you know what I did? I pushed her out of an aeroplane. I took her skydiving.
Oh, nice. With a parachute, I hope.
With a parachute, yes. Good. Let it be known. I went skydiving with her. So what we did is we found what her wild edge was that was so uncomfortable in a controlled environment for her to realize how safe she was. She did that. Her life changed.
Oh, I bet. That's amazing.
Everything's changed. And this is why I love what I do, because I'm not under any banner that I report to APRA. You know, I can have a relationship with my client that says, you're in it at 10 o'clock at night. You need me? Text me. Right? You don't get that with a psychologist, right? I play outside of it. I play in a very different box to traditional modalities. But those traditional modalities are a subscription model. The amount of people that I've heard say, Jen, I've been seeing a psychologist for 4 years and I've had 2 sessions with you and my life has changed. I mean, if I had $1 for every time I heard that, we'd probably be sitting on my yacht in like the Greek islands doing this interview right now. I mean, I love Melbourne.
Absolutely. It's absolutely pouring at the moment.
Yeah. We can pretend we're in the Greek islands.
Oh, yeah, on a yacht.
But this is the thing, like I hear people say all the time, I need more. Like I've been seeing my psychologist, but they can only walk me so far.
I never understand why people go to psychiatrists, psychologists. Yeah. I mean, psychiatry is all about pill pushing. No offense.
They're glorified drug dealers.
But I mean, the DSMV was, I think it was started in 1958. And then we're up to DSMV 5. And so all these disorders that have been put together have been put together by a group of people that are linked to pharmaceuticals. Yeah. I think DSM-3, there was 60% of the panel that put it together were linked to pharmaceuticals. Back in those days, there was no, you didn't have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. When DSM-5 came out, they did. Now, back when DSM-4 was actually put together, one of the members of the board said, oh, no, you can't put that in. I do that all the time. Yeah. And so it's very much, which drug are we going to give to whom? Whereas there is no physiological reason why a lot of the psychological issues are there. Yeah. Whereas with clinical trials, it's got to be X, Y, Z, and we do it. Yes. But not for mental issues. No. And there's no curiosity from the drug dealer about lifestyle. Legal drug dealer. So, glorified legal drug dealer, aka physician. There's no question about sleep. There's no question are you getting enough sleep? Are you getting enough sunshine? Are you putting your feet on the earth? Are you eating? Are you meditating? Are you sitting in a sauna? Are you exercising? Yeah. How's your relationship? Are you overworked? There's no emotional support in that. It's here's a script for Zoloft. Start here. Here's a script for Vyvanse. Here's some Dexies. There's no environmental conditions taken in, and so we really have to go, is this actually working for us? Is this serving us? Well, it's not serving us, it's serving them.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah. And so we're becoming a very dosed up society, you know. But then, as we know, with pharmaceuticals, you take one thing, it causes another. You get a script for that thing, that causes something else. You get a script for something else. All of a sudden, you're on 6 pills a day, 14 pills a day. When does it end?
Well, I had a client who was on antidepressants. She'd been on them for so long that it... the aftermath was her bladder. Her bladder she ended up with a leaky bladder and it wasn't working properly. And so we got her off the meds and we got her into some herbs and she improved a lot and it improved a lot. But it took forever. I mean, they don't tell you what some of the side effects are. No. I mean, they say, off you go. Here is, you know, all the instructions and all the side effects. Up to you to read them. And you think... Like when my mother was on so many drugs, it was like the pharmacist said, you can't take those two together. They don't work. It's like you could go down a completely different rabbit hole here.
Yeah.
Why didn't the GP pick it up?
Yeah, and this is people's lives
and
that they're like, you know, playing chicken with.
And so there is this movement at the moment where people are... You know, like what we're doing is that we're inviting people to come and decide how they want to live their life, what they want the dash from the start to the finish to mean. Yes. What do they want to be remembered for? But more to the point, what do they want to have as a life?
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many ways to come back to self.
So many. We are so spoilt for choice.
Yeah, we are.
And I feel like it's such a blessing because I do feel as though we are in this great awakening, this time of life. And of course, like knowing who I am, I'm like, I'll put my hand up to go. I actually make a bit of a skit series on my social media. I call it Earth Karen. And Earth Karen calls up and wants to speak to the manager of Earth and be like, this is not what I ordered. Everyone's gone a bit mental, right? Everyone's like losing the plot. And then the manager says, you know, back to me on the phone kind of thing, like, you've got to go inwards. It's all about self, right?
Oh, nice.
And so, and I have a bit of fun with it. I've done a few of those. And so whatever way I can speak to people, I can appeal to people through humor as well. If it appeals to people to be drawn in, for example, through Tantra because they want to explore sexuality, sensuality, and they get what I have to offer on that deeper level, great. Whatever the way in is, the hook, whatever that is, that's great. Yeah. But I also think we're so blessed because we have social media. We have this way of connecting with each other we didn't have 20 years ago. We were still using fax machines 20 years ago, you know?
Yeah, we were.
We were still using like CD-ROMs and floppy disks and, you know, maybe 25 years ago for those.
Yeah.
You know, but times have changed so much. We have so much at our fingertips. We have the support of AI now as well. I feel as though we're quite cushioned, really, for this great awakening. It's like, all right, but if we can find each other and work together, great, I'll go, I'll do it. Send me to Earth. I'll be part of it. I'll put my hand up to do what it takes. I'll support other people through it. But can you soften the blow for me? How can we find each other? There'll be a magical thing called the internet by the time you get there and by the time you're ready.
Yeah. Like in the 90s.
Yeah. I remember when the internet came out. Like, I can say that.
Yeah.
I remember being in school and we all gathered around this thing that made this funny noise and we're like, ooh, ah.
I know. There's been a lot of changes in our own lifetime. Yeah. And I think it's accelerating, but it's accelerating for the better. And people have to realise that they can't keep running away from themselves and they don't want a Mack truck to hit them before they realise that they should be or they could be doing a lot more for themselves.
And also, I like to give souls grace as well, because if that's part of their journey for coming here and being human, that they're kind of here dipping their toe in and they don't get it in this lifetime, That's okay, because that's part of their journey as well.
Yep.
And I really sat with this through, especially through motherhood, you know, circling back to the motherhood journey. For my two beautiful children, I've always said, I'm a vessel and a tour guide. I got them here and I'll show them around. And I can't control their lives.
Yep.
And I went through this really deeply when I was separated from their dad, because all of a sudden, for half of the time, I wasn't there. I wasn't there to control
them,
protect them. I wasn't there to make sure that everything went my way. Guide, yes. And I had to hand over a lot of that to their father. And I had my preconceived ideas about what that would be like based on my limited view of the world back then. I was very much, you know, starting off in this space and transitioning to a more open-minded version of myself. And so when I realized that I just get to guardian these kids through this lifetime, I also see that with clients. I see that with everyone I interact with. And so for me, it's instead of judging people's journeys, it's going, how can I meet them where they're at and love their soul and understand that for their soul's evolution, if they decided to put their hand up and said, I'm going to Earth in this era at the same time of me, they might be coming here for a break between lives. Yeah. They might be like, oh, stuff all of that stuff. I'm going to be lazy in this one. I'm going to kick back. I'm just going to go live off grid and just be in nature because that's what their soul needs. And so just because like there's you and I, we have platforms, we have voices, we have drive, we have motivation, you have 1,000 million books. That's what's getting you there. Yeah. Likewise, we're no different to the person sitting in the long grass in the jungle meditating. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Like it's for me, it's coming back to going, well, this is my journey. This is how I'm getting there. And this is why there's no forcing people. I will never chase someone to come on the journey with me. Yeah. I will hold myself as magnetic that people are drawn to me. If they're drawn to me, I will work on my magnetism, not my chasing skills. You know, plus I'm feminine. When I'm in my feminine, it's the old saying, the egg don't chase the sperm, right?
I like that.
I've never chased a man, and then I never will.
One egg to many millions.
being in my feminine energy, I'm naturally magnetic. So if people are drawn to me, great. Come on in. And if they're not, that's okay too.
Because a lot of people see their kids as ownership.
Yes, a product of them. Absolutely.
Yeah. And to me, I am the keeper. Yeah. But the keeper to guide them, not to keep them.
Yes. Yes.
And so therefore, they've picked me. Bless them. I'm sure they ask themselves why a lot of...
where did this one come from? Oh, great lesson. Thanks.
And so it's a matter of us understanding that we're along for the journey. And there are some people out there that drive you insane, and the ones that drive you insane, it's a pact that you made with them.
Yes.
Yes. And so therefore you should say, oh, you wonderful soul, so nice to see you again.
Yes, exactly that. Exactly that. Yeah.
Rather than say, you should be doing it this way because it'll be much better for you, and it'll definitely be better for me, but it'll be really, really good for you.
Yes, and this is really this is such a big part of the Tantra teachings, is teaching about the soul and loving someone for their soul. That wasn't taught to me in hypnotherapy. That wasn't taught to me in NLP, in psychotherapy. There were, we touched on parts, but that's not what that teaching's about.
No, it's all about the mind and the...
Exactly. There's a process. There's it's language. It's not see a soul and love them for who they are. You know, whereas Tantra very much teaches so much about love. You know, and when we realize that we are all made of love, we came from love, we return to love. The whole idea is love. And Tantra is a vehicle for you to bring that home to yourself.
Yeah. Except, according to Bon Jovi, we're born out of sin.
Well, maybe Bon Jovi wasn't. That was his experience to grow through that in this lifetime.
But the thing is that when you look at David Hawkins, he talks about the frequency of the Buddha and the testaments and everything else, and how the original had such a high frequency, and then when it was rewritten kind of dropped down because the original intent and the essence has been twisted so much that it's no longer useful for anything.
Yeah, it was out of power and control.
Yeah.
Indoctrination. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The joy of it all.
And all you have to do is throw your head back and laugh at the sky, because it's all a cosmic joke anyway.
I know.
The whole thing.
I know.
The whole thing is a joke.
I sit here and say, I hope you're having a good laugh. It's like, what's next?
Exactly. When you realize, and I think a lot of people experience this on their deathbed.
Why does it take us so goddamn long? I mean, so long.
Exactly. Like, it doesn't matter. None of it. Everything matters and none of it matters. That's what I say. It's the duality of it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, yesterday, going to the airport, there was like issue after issue after issue, and none of it stressed me. I was like, this is hilarious. Like, this is funny.
Yeah. Why are you stopping me?
What this is? I was like, oh, I had a fleeting moment of, am I not supposed to go because it's not flowing? And I'm like, no, things happen. You're not evolved to think that nothing happens to you, Jen. Like, calm down.
Jen, you're special. Not that special.
Jen, yeah. We're not enlightened yet. No, calm down. Calm down. Just be a human.
Damn, I want to levitate before I die.
I'm here for life, not enlightenment. You can have your enlightenment. I want to experience all aspects of life.
Well, I do, but it would be nice to find what enlightenment's all about. Because, come on, it'd be fun to levitate.
It would be fun.
Hello, look at me, I don't have to walk.
I had, last week, I haven't had one for so long, but I had a lucid flying dream. And I love those dreams. I remember it. I could feel it in my body. I was just so aware, and I woke up going, oh, like, to me, like, that is like, yes, that was a good night.
And I didn't
that
even
was
drink.
my levitating. Exactly. I didn't even have to get out of bed. I was so warm and cozy the whole time.
It's amazing. Because have you ever had those moments that some people may say that you're asleep, but you're not asleep. You're absolutely awake in your conscious. You've got your eyes closed. You can see, feel, sense everything that's going around you. And then all of a sudden you open your eyes and people next to you say, did you enjoy your snooze? And you said, I wasn't asleep.
Yeah. I have moments like that quite regularly. And I actually, this morning when I woke up, I could have sworn I had a conversation with the friend that I'm staying with, and that there was a towel, a particular brown coloured towel that was placed at the end of my bed so I could go and have a shower. And when I woke up, I got up, went and had a glass of water, came back to get that towel, and I went, that's not there. That was never there. And my friend had stayed at her partner's place last night, and so she wasn't even home, and I didn't have a conversation with her.
Oh.
And the whole, I must have woken up and drifted back to sleep, but been, I guess, quite lucid in it. And I woke up going, what is real? What is not? What even is all of this? And I actually don't need the answers to it, because I don't need to control it.
That's very true.
I was like, well, that was fun. That was great.
Did you find the brown towel?
No, it was a rainbow coloured towel that was over on the couch on the other side of the bed. So I was completely off.
Yeah. And so when I've woken up before today and said, I wasn't asleep, I blah, 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 this all happened. And he said, yes, you were. You were snoring. I said, oh, I was not.
I don't snore. I breathe deeply through my nose.
Loudly.
I wasn't asleep. I was reading the back of my eyelids.
It's been so good to learn about Tantra, because I have to admit, coming from a yogi background, we did, they speak about Kundalini yoga and the fact that the beauty of Kundalini and learning Kundalini is that you can have the orgasm without having any leakage of energy or,
Bodily
vital,
fluids.
vital bodily fluids. So much less messy.
Who wants that though?
The mess? Or not the mess?
Not the mess, yeah.
Okay. And so therefore it is really interesting to see that it can actually be applied to something a little bit more substantial.
Yes.
Rather than people being in their head all the time. And I mean, a lot of it today happens to be about the heart and the mind connection, and then making the new neurological connections. So incorporation of mind, body and soul is very important, and we can't get stuck in the head, because that's when a lot of our issues come, because it's the monkey mind that we get on the rat wheel and we can't get off until someone pushes us.
Yeah, or we just go, I can't do this anymore, because it's so loud and so noisy in there.
Yeah. And people just give up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been fascinating how you've gone through it and how you've actually integrated, and you probably feel like you're younger now than what you were before you started on your journey.
I do, yes. So I feel like I'm going backwards in my aging journey, which is amazing. And it comes down to energy. And when you know how to work with energy, when you know how to do things that are nourishing to your body and supportive to your soul, and your outlook on life shifts, and you get excited for life, and you are so inspired by the work that you do, and you know that you can have an impact on other people and be of service to other people, that's what gets me up and grateful in the morning. Yeah.
And it's when people realise that you're not here for them to be almost like a parasite that are always having to be attached to you in order for them to reach who they really need to be. That, you give them the tools and then you send them off and say, now you're a big person, off you go.
Yes, you got your big girl pants on, your big boy pants on, off you go. Come back if you need me, but off you go.
And that's what we want to do. We want to empower people to continue the journey. We don't want to empower them to be stuck.
Exactly.
So that we're the ones that guide them on their journey.
Yeah.
So when they're actually become aware of the fact that the difference between someone saying, my energy is so good, you need it and you need to be with me in order to feel it, rather than you've got your energy.
Tap into it yourself. Where is it inside of you? Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And know that you're whole.
Yes.
Because you've got the tools. Now you've got this. Off you go.
Yeah. For me, I am here to remind people who they are.
Yeah.
To break through whatever conditions or beliefs that they have had put on themselves, either by themselves, their parents, their religion, their culture, wherever it's come from. We can take that off.
Yeah.
One by one. We can take a whole bunch of them off if we need to, but it's coming off for you to be in the fullest expression of self.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Levels and it's been fun.
Thank you.